She got a nigga but don't even post it. I pull up with the runs and the potion. Niggas no shooter who keep me some motion. Put a play on a play on a play. Put a bay on a bay on a bay. Screaming free all my bodies upstate. Screaming free all my niggas downtown too. I be high as fuck making LeBron. She got a nigga but don't even post it. I pull up with the runs and the potion. Niggas no shooter who keep me some motion. Put a play on a play on a play. Put a bay on a bay on a bay. Screaming free all my bodies upstate. Screaming free all my bodies downtown too. I be high as fuck making LeBron moves. Should be bad like in no time. Hit a C like it's go time. My bitches in the game like the old line. Hey, and when I come down, you get no shine. Scissors on the backseat like a little kid. Tub been gone for a little minute. Ain't back and forth, I just post a pic with a bankroll, pounds in the mix. I can't parking like pimp. Hey, serving coffee shop him. Hey, got you walking around stiff. Hey, all that cash on him. Then put a bag on the cracker, but you put a bag on him. Hey, for black on black violence. Hey, let's go smash on them. I just paid my rent late on the block near Kimbe. Chopper got a little shake, hit the jerk like Benjay. Money calling me today, I'ma pick up every time. Bro just brought a whole bottle, gon' distribute airline. Shawty came with her ass like the city had dying. Wi-Fi around the trap, this shit like a airline. Shawty came with her ass like the city had dying. Wi-Fi around the trap, this shit like an airline. She got a nigga but don't even post it. I pull up with the runs and the potion. Niggas no shooter who keep me some motion. Put a play on a play on a play. Put a bay on a bay on a bay. Screaming free all my bodies upstate. Screaming free all my niggas downtown too. I be high as fuck making LeBron. She got a nigga but don't even post it. I pull up with the runs and the potion. Niggas no shooter who keep me some motion. Put a play on a play on a play. Put a bay on a bay on a bay. Screaming free all my bodies upstate. Screaming free all my bodies downtown too. I be high as fuck making LeBron moves. Gotta get up and get up and get up and get it. You working that job or you stuck in them trenches. Cash to be made, so who out here tripping? My cellular phone got a damn chip in it. Wake up, sign for 30 balls. Still in the trap with dirty clothes. You can be different, work my phones. You can be dead and work alone. Uncle Tehuti, you there? It say you gotta hook up your mic. It's saying you gotta hook your mic up. You there, Uncle Tehuti? Let me see what Uncle Tehuti is. Hey, Uncle Tehuti. It's saying you gotta hook your. It's saying you gotta hook your mic up. All right, we gonna wait for Uncle Tehuti to get up in here. Fix something. You already know it's going down, and you know it's going down. Let me see something real quick. Waiting on Uncle Tehuti. Drop my top in the summer. No laces on these foam runners. Playing my numbers. Wavy got them things in bundles. Bodies on the game in trouble. No rain, no thunder. Really felt played by my uncle. I was broken, knew my time was coming. Boys know how I'm bumming. See swangers on Toyota Tundras. Got lions and tigers among us. Hope the fame and change don't take me under. Sometimes I wonder, all that acting tough, you just gon' die younger. Question everything, just how my mind functions. Twerking on my bed, let wavy slide under. Sometimes I wonder. Sometimes I wonder. Sometimes I wonder if all else fails, I'm back up in that jungle. Sometimes I wonder. Sometimes I wonder. Sometimes I wonder if all else fails, I'm right back in that jungle. Sometimes I wonder. Sometimes I wonder. Sometimes I wonder. Sometimes I wonder. Sometimes I wonder if all else fails, I'm right back in that jungle. Babe, get the bags, we packing sacks. I'm on and off like Mattress Mac. 20s, 50s, 100s, we after that. This ain't no battle rap. Asking for pictures and features. Thought you said my album whack. Can't be around leeches and preachers. Can't be who you yapping at. Let the window down, smell the aroma. Shiny in a big body, been in corners. How you gon' know who real and phony? Going extra, I really want it. Turning down my collar, had no idea. Mr. Popeye with that shit on, no diarrhea. Same ass she bought, she gon' sell it again. Before they laid on them, they was like, hell is this crib? Sometimes I wonder. Sometimes I wonder. Sometimes I wonder if all else fails, I'm back up in that jungle. Sometimes I wonder. Sometimes I wonder. Sometimes I wonder if all else fails, I'm right back in that jungle. Sometimes I wonder. Sometimes I wonder. Sometimes I wonder. Sometimes I wonder. Sometimes I wonder if all else fails, I'm right back in that jungle. Sometimes all else fails, I'm right back in the jungle. In the jungle. Sometimes I wonder. Waiting on Uncle Tehuti to get in the building. Alright, here we go. Uncle Tehuti, you there? It's saying you gotta add your mic. For some reason it's saying you gotta add your mic. You probably cut your pop-up blocker off. Come out and come back in one more time. Come out and come back in one more time. Just come out and come back in. Sometimes I wonder if all else fails, I'm back up in the jungle. Sometimes I come on, man. Alright, let me find. Alright, when we got Uncle Tehuti in the building, Uncle Tehuti gonna be dropping this highly anticipated knowledge. Uncle Tehuti is ready to lay the pseudos to rest. If you didn't know about your people, this is the live stream for you. Alright, let me find it. Sometimes all else fails, I'm right back in the jungle. In the jungle. Alright, we waiting on Uncle Tehuti to get in the building. Did the ancient Egyptians have telescopes? Yeah, y'all ain't gonna be ready for this one, man. Get your popcorn, get everything you need to succeed in the right degrees. You know what I'm talking about? Get your popcorn, cause Uncle Tehuti not about to play with you. You know what I'm saying? Uncle Tehuti is not about to play with you niggas. So get your popcorn, get your pen and pad, take some notes. Take some notes. You know what I'm saying? Hey man, say man, it's going down. Alright, what I need. Alright, let me find these. Get these sources. Alright, we still waiting on Uncle Tehuti. Let me see. Let me try to grab these sources. In the jungle. In the jungle. We waiting on Uncle Tehuti. Let me get y'all a little. Son.
Jay got them beats.
I took two to the face. You can tell I'm in the mood. They be tryna ride the wave. We got everything smooth. You can meet me at the after party, pulling bitches in the hotel lobby. Now you all up in my bed. You know what we finna do? What we finna do? I need a blunt to unwind. They all thought it was a fluke. Party on my hoodie's pine. I be going with my move. In LA for the weekend, tryna see more than the views. I pull up in Mad Benz. Say I got it from my dude. I took two to the face. You can tell I'm in the mood. They be tryna ride the wave. We got everything smooth. You can meet me at the after party, pulling bitches in the hotel lobby. Now you all up in my bed. You know what we finna do? What we finna do? You on the real gangster, yeah. Keep a banger, yeah. 30 clip like a hanger, yeah. Twisted fingers, yeah. Good dope, no complainers, yeah. Playmaker, yeah. All facts when debating, yeah. I can't blame you, yeah. I be smoking on the best. Type of shit that make you cruise. And I'm all about mine. When I step up on these shoes, what's the move, what the play is? Uncle Tehuti, you got you.
I closed it just now. Hotel.
Hotel. Hey. All right, damn, we got
What's going on?
Give me 1 second. Yeah, it sounds like you got YouTube on in the back. You on your phone?
I just cut it off. I'm on my phone.
Yeah, you got the YouTube tab open.
YouTube tab open? Or no? On my phone? Or no?
Yeah.
Yeah. Nah, I don't. Nah, it's still an echo.
Yo, yo, yo. Nah,
Can you hear me now?
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
It's still an
All
echo.
right. It's still an echo.
Copy
Copy
the link I sent you
the link I sent. Yeah.
and put it in your web
And
browser.
put it in your web browser.
It should work.
All right.
It's gonna be an echo after that.
It's gonna be an echo after that.
You hear me, Uncle Tehuti?
You hear me? Yeah, I can hear you. I'm doing it right now.
And just
Just
exit out of here
exit out of here.
and copy the link and put it in your web browser. All right, we got Uncle Tehuti in the building. Send her Addy to the zoo. She throw it back on time, like she got something to prove. I took two to the face. You can tell I'm in the mood. They be tryna ride the wave. We got everything smooth. You can meet me at the after party, pulling bitches in the hotel lobby. Now you all up in my bed. You know what we finna do. What we finna do. You there, Uncle Tootie?
Yeah, I'm here. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir. We good to go. We good to go.
Awesome. That was a hassle, wasn't it?
Man, you know
My apologies for that, man.
We're gonna make a way.
Yeah, definitely.
But man, introduce yourself to the people. You know what I'm saying? Let everybody know what we got going on, man. And let's go and get this show on the road. Uncle Jose, what's goody? Asiatic 77, what's goody?
Hotel, everybody. I just want to start off by saying a lot of information is out there and we need to tap into it, and we don't need to be discouraged about what people say about African people and African civilizations before colonialism and invasion as well. But real quick, Tehuti Afar. I'm on Facebook. I'm on YouTube. I'm not really on YouTube as much, but I do put out information. I make content. So I'm not just some guy that's using his social media platform to talk about celebrity gossip and sports. I've been doing this for quite some time. So I take this very serious.
Already. How long have you been studying how long have you been studying Africa or Egypt or having a knowledge yourself?
So I actually parted ways with the military, and then my journey started some time ago in the 2020s. So I've been studying ancient African civilizations in the 2020s. I came across some master teachers and their content sometime around, actually before the 2020s. I was actually watching Sonnetter on YouTube, and then I came across some master teachers that way. And then ever since, I've been studying and just, turning my life around.
For sure, for sure. For sure, for sure. Um, Man, let's go on break they necks, man. Let me make sure we looking good. Let me make sure we looking good. Let me drop. Let me drop this link up in the chat. We about to get this show on the road, man.
Are you able to play that YouTube short?
Yes, sir. That's how you want to start it, right?
Yeah, we need to start off with that because a lot of people look at that and then try to make their determination.
All right. Let's go and rock out. I just dropped it. I just dropped the show. Y'all come in, like, share, and subscribe. Uncle Tehuti about to drop this knowledge. All right, let's get it. And where you from, Uncle Tehuti?
So I'm from Africa. I always tell people I'm from Wakanda. I'll tell people my mom's from ancient Egypt, my dad's from Wakanda, but pretty much I was a military kid. So I was born overseas and then I spent my time moving around um, in the South pretty much. So
Okay. Okay. All right. I got the video queued up. I started whenever you're ready.
yeah, you can push play.
All right.
They do, and they want to believe that people 5,000 years ago somehow knew more about the universe than we do today. Yeah. Just no. Why is that? Why do they want to believe that? I don't know. I think, for me, that's one of the great puzzles of life. Why do people want to believe that the Egyptians somehow had some access to the universe? Doesn't the physical, just the presence of these incredible buildings, leave the possibility that maybe they had some knowledge that we lost? Lost knowledge is a real thing. Yeah. I don't want to belittle, diminish the significance of real knowledge. We forgot how to draw in perspective, from ancient times. They do, and they want to believe that people 5,000 years ago somehow knew more about the universe than we do today. Yeah. Just no. Why is that? Why do they want to believe that? I don't know. I think, for me, that's one of the great puzzles of life. Why do people want to believe that the Egyptians somehow had some access to the universe? Doesn't the physical, just the presence of these incredible buildings, leave the possibility that maybe they had some knowledge that we lost? Lost knowledge is a real thing. Yeah. I don't want to belittle, diminish the significance of real knowledge. We forgot how to draw in perspective, from ancient times. They do, and they want to believe that people 5,000 years ago somehow knew more about the universe.
All right, yeah, you can pause it. How many times did it play?
3 times.
About 2 or 3 times, right? All right. So, long story short, the reason why I, wanted you to play that is because people who give pushback on uh, ancient technology and Kemet is they get it from Neil deGrasse, and you know what I'm saying. They want to be. If you pay close attention to these people, they want to be like a mix between Neil deGrasse and Zahi Hawass, which is kind of humorous because they'll play hot potato with the ancient Egyptians. Not only were they not technological, but they have no connection to the African Americans, right? So let me just start off by explaining why it's important to acknowledge that Kemet invented and made use of telescopes. And there's nothing problematic about bringing forth new information that promotes STEM for the Black race. You can't be a science enthusiast and advocate STEM and then turn around and then call people pseudo for saying that the Kemetic people had telescopes and advanced astronomical instruments. Okay, we can already acknowledge that the Kemet were keen observers and documenters of nature. So it would only be a good guess to say that they observed the stars, even if you didn't know anything about the star clock, the precision of the pyramids, and all that stuff. All right. And then it's crazy how like everybody, when we first grew up, right, at some point in time, we thought that ancient Egypt was so great that aliens had to be responsible for it. Now that we find out that ancient Egypt was established by Black African people, now all of a sudden they can't have telescopes. That's crazy work right there. That's the real pseudo right there. If you want to call somebody pseudo. All right. And then let me just open up. Did you can you put it on the screen that the mural in Seti's temple?
All right.
Is it up? Is that it?
Give me 1 second. It look like it's blurred out. I'm look like it's blurred out on my end. Let me see something.
It's blurred out. All right. So anyway, um, everybody should be familiar with the mural of Seti One. Um, it's a Jed pillar, right? But the interesting thing about the Jed pillar is there's information that's been brought forth by experts and scholars, and I'm going to get to those experts and their names in a minute. But long story short, what they say is that the Jed pillar was a direct current battery and was also the design for larger electronic instruments such as the ones that you see in the mural. And then there's a possibility, right? They say that it's a possibility of large telescopes to where they can see not only out in the heavens, but they can also see small organisms that's invisible to the naked eye. And there's reason for that. I'm not just making this stuff up because there's all types of artifacts that's been discovered in ancient Egypt.
Which one? Which one would be the Jed?
What you got up? You got that Neanderthal saying that? No, you can leave that up.
All right, hold on.
Is it actually visible to where everybody can see it?
Yes, sir. Which one was the Jed pillar? Was that a link?
So it was an image.
Is it this right here?
Nah.
It was in one of these images, though, right?
Yeah, keep going back. All right, that's it right there. So everybody can see that. All right. What's also interesting about this is the Europeans today, they developed an institute with some of the most advanced telescopes, and they named it SETI. So here you have a large tubular instrument depicted on the walls in Seti's temple. And then years later, the liars tell on themselves and develop an advanced telescope observatory called SETI. I think if you go on that image, you can go forward and you can actually look at the satellites all lined up and where they have SETI as the logo name. Yeah, that one right there. Right. And my thing about coincidence is there's no such thing as coincidence. You can't be conscious and aware and you want to compromise with the notion of coincidence. It's only ironic that they call that as Observatory Institute with all that satellites and stuff that they want to see extraterrestrials with. It's only ironic how they name it SETI.
That's a big deal. That's a big deal.
Yeah. That is a big deal, and a lot of times we get so fascinated with evidence that when it comes to especially the ancient Egyptians and technology, we want to see smoking guns. We don't want to put the pieces together and come up with a deduction of, you know,
Logic
how
and
how our ancestors came up and had the ability to map the stars, had the ability to have precision with their monuments to where it actually aligns with celestial bodies. All
All
right.
right, so just to replay, you said these right here, they use these right here like you said they use these like batteries?
Yeah, so there's a former or retired aerospace manufacturing engineer, and he wrote in his book that they're similar to direct current batteries. Also, what's interesting about the Jed pillar is they have a Jed ceremony um, that requires them to tilt that pillar precisely to a degree to where they can align it with a star. Let's see what I got here. It's called the Jed Pillar Ceremony. I'm going to pull it up real quick and read it. I think I might have sent it to you, but if I didn't, I'm going to pull it up right now just so I can go over it.
All right.
All right, so so the way the ceremony goes is in the first phase of the raising the Jed ceremony, the pillar is raised to approximately 22 degrees, thought to be symbolic of the Earth's tilt in relation to the precision of the equinoxes and how stars are observed to move 1 degree in 72 years. In the myth of the death of Asar, 72 conspirators were involved in trapping Asar in a chest that was thrown into the Nile and eventually grew into an evergreen tree. So through that myth, right, they have a way to determine that the stars that they observe move a certain degree every 72 years, and that correlates with a myth that they developed to interpret that. Not to interpret that, but how do I want to say it? To articulate that.
Right.
And it's just, it's just ironic that they're taking this pillar for ceremonial reasons, and they need to align it to where they see a star, right? And that requires a certain type of knowledge. Also, with that, during the ceremony, they deified two stars. They deified a constellation, and then they deified Sirius star. And you can verify this. Can you bring up check Anta Job's quote that I sent you? It should be over the top of the pyramids that are aligned with the Orion belt.
All right. Let me see. All right. All right.
Great. All right. There we go. So I'm gonna let y'all read that to yourselves, and then when I pull it up, I'm gonna read it out loud again to reinforce it. All right. So this comes right out of Civilization or Barbarism by Check Anta Job on page 282. He says the precision of the great architectural monuments, especially the pyramids, defends the existence of a sound astronomical science. In fact, the number of monuments that are oriented in relation to the four cardinal points with an error always below 1 degree to the true north eliminates any notion of chance. A method of astronomical observation was surely used to determine the true north. But which one? We know that the method based on the shortest projected shadows is not precise enough. The idea of optical instruments with lenses gains greater credence with the latest discoveries. All right, and again, that's out of Civilization or Barbarism. Check Antijoke, page 282.
Stop asking for a source. There you go.
What's going on? Somebody asked for a source?
Yeah, they in the chat. You know how the pseudo killers get. Source up. Who's
Well,
the cracker?
this is my thing. I'm not saying this because I woke up out of bed. Right?
They saying bring forth the cracker that agree with you.
They actually said that?
Nah.
Oh, okay.
Nah, you got it, Uncle Tehuti.
Oh, all right. But and once again, I'm not saying this. I'm not waking up out of bed saying this. This comes from a renowned Afrocentric master teacher who was a scholar in multiple disciplines. All right, now let's go over. I just want to go over what we know about Greek astronomy.
All right. Hey, if y'all couldn't see the image, the name of the institute is called SETI Institute. That picture was NRAO, Very Large Array, and SETI Institute collaboration. Carl G. Gansky, Very Large Array. That's the image he was showing earlier. All right, Uncle Tehuti. I'm supposed to be bringing up something.
Yeah, actually, can you bring up a link? I think I sent you a link to Greek astronomy. But anyway, while you're doing that, they already tell us that the Greek astronomers didn't know anything about astronomy until they went up into to Kemet.
That's a fact.
So my thing about that is if we know that our ancestors in Kemet had all this knowledge about the stars, were able to like set up the pyramids and the monuments in such a way, how could they not have the instruments to carry that out? And my thing is like, just because the physical evidence is missing doesn't mean that they didn't do it.
Right.
Just like, and we accept that as a people. We already accept that as a people because, you know, analogy is if my boy sees a girl that I'm messing with car in somebody in another guy's yard, right? I don't have to be inside of the house to know what's going on. I don't have to physically see them doing things.
Just like with evolution, we don't have to see the transforming fossils, the transformation fossils to understand. You know what I'm saying? Exactly.
Right. But yeah, I specifically gave you these Wikipedia sources because Wikipedia will tell you certain things. And if something is a conspiracy, if something is a so-called conspiracy, right? Wikipedia is not going to tell you that the Greeks came up with astronomy in the 4th century BCE. But then in another separate article, they're gonna tell you that the first people who had optics was the ancient Egyptians. We found these lenses in the 8th century BCE in what's now called Iraq. How is that possible? How are Greeks the first to have astronomical tools, but then the ancient Egyptians didn't while they were training the Greeks?
It says,
and with that said, can you bring up the little the clips that I made out of the Neanderthal mannequin? I just want to prove a point.
all right.
It's a point of logic too. We devalue logic over smoking guns. Like when the smoking guns are absent, we still want to deny logic. Yeah. So you play that one there. That's another one. I want you to read that one for me out loud.
Says, I know the cookies that were just here before you left are all gone now that you're back, but there is no substantial evidence to say that I ate them. These crumbs are from the cookies I made while you were gone.
And that right there, that analogy, that fits good with religion, because if we know that the enemy took our spirituality, devoured it, and then spit back up something that was like grotesque and not spiritual, we don't need like smoking guns to know that he did that.
Right.
Same thing with our scientific technology and our tools. If they found this, what's in the background of this is called the Nimrod lens. It's called the Nimrod lens. It was found in Iraq, in a Assyrian city. But what's interesting about that is, an Asiatic fanatic will say, well, doesn't that mean that Assyria had telescopes and not the ancient Egyptians? Well, no, that means that the only reason that the Assyrians had telescopes is because during the 25th and the 26th dynasties, the ancient Egyptians colonized Assyria and influenced them to where they were under the influence of Kemetic culture. And we can verify that with the ivory carvings that they found in Iraq that date back to the same time period as the lens that you're seeing in the background. Can you go up to the next image?
Is it this one?
Yeah, you can do that one. I'll focus on that one too. So what does that say? That says something about the Dendera light bulb.
Yeah, it says, I know we named it the Dendera light. Haha. But like I said before, the ancient Egyptians were not technologically advanced.
All right. So the odd thing about that is, right, if you discover something and upon its discovery, you name it the Dendera light, why would it all of a sudden it be something different and it wouldn't be a light anymore years after the fact? Why does it not have another name? It's like if I'm going back to another analogy with relationships. If my girl texts me, right, or if my girl gets a text message in the middle of the night, and I roll over and say, and I asked you just now, that's just like her saying, "Nah, you text me." You know what I'm saying? Like you call it the
Right.
Dendera light, but now all of a sudden I'm not supposed to think it's the Dendera light but then every time I come back to it, it's still called the Dendera light. Which one is it? Just like that text message is still sitting in your phone, but all of a sudden we gotta focus on what we're paying attention to, because the European lies are so foolish that you can actually make an analogy to something else in some other arena of life, and you wouldn't tolerate that at all.
Right.
There's no way you would tolerate a person calling something and then something specific, right? And then telling you that, no, well, it's not that, even though I call it that.
That's a fact. That's a fact. All right, so what is the Dendera light?
So pretty much the Dendera light is exactly what you see. It is a light bulb that they created. Because remember, I'm gonna tell you something about Egyptology. So if we notice a lot of these discoveries, even the optical instruments, and that's including the light bulb, the optical instruments, their whole entire industrial age came after they raided the temples in Egypt. If you look at the date of French Egyptology, it starts right before the industrial age. So all of a sudden, if you have, think about it, if you know what I'm saying, if you go to Egypt, right, in 1800, and then all of a sudden when you get back to your homeland 10, 20 years later, you got all these technological inventions,
Right.
somebody's got to start asking questions. Somebody's got to start asking questions, and it's like, I don't need a verbatim statement from the father of French Egyptology himself stating that, yeah, we specifically raided the temples in Egypt so we can steal all the technology artifacts out of the tombs. Like, I don't need that as a person that's studying history.
Right. So what were they doing with this light?
So harnessing electricity and lighting up the dark what do I want to say? How do I want to say? Compartments in the temples. Just using it for a light source.
Right. So when we talk about these pillars, did the pillars have anything to do with the Tekkens?
With the Tekken?
Right.
So a Tekken or an obelisk is two different things from a jet pillar. That's two different things. So a jet pillar is specifically used as a ceremonial pillar and a conductor of electromagnetism.
Okay.
Your obelisk is connected to a SAR, and it's a symbol that denotes a territory. So those are two different things. Is somebody in the chat asking you to ask me about some Tekken?
No, when I heard a pillar, I thought of our definition of pillar.
Oh no! So the Jed pillar is specifically, it was used to as a symbol when they were actually constructing and making actual pillars. But the Jed pillar itself has many meanings. It's also connected to a SAR, but in its practical use, the ancient Egyptians were using it to charge other instruments.
Okay. So when we go back to this right here, let me zoom back in. This is just so the audience could see it. But when we look at this picture right here, what are we actually looking at? You said it's a
All right,
lens?
Go, yeah, go to the one where it's just the lens. I sent you that one just so you could see it.
All right, here we go.
Right. So that's the lens that they discovered in the ancient Assyrian city. So there's other people who actually say that's a lens, and you can actually, verify that. You can,
So,
do
so
your
this,
research
this
on the
lens,
Nimrod lens. What's up?
so this lens basically could help you see further.
They said so when I was reading on that, that is actually a prototype. So that was the prototype that the Assyrians were using because they weren't as advanced as the ancient Egyptians. So they were making a prototype that had to be a prototype that they were making, but that would be an example of an optical lens that
Right.
they would be using back in ancient times to aid their visual observation, whether it be across the horizon, for reading purposes. Because when you study lenses, the only thing that changes in the lens is the bevel, how you grind it and how you form it,
I'm gonna
and how you.
tell you what I didn't got from my research. So from my understanding, um I was going on a little binge YouTube binge Google research, and I started
Right.
looking at did the ancient Egyptians have magnifying glasses? That was my
Right.
original question. Did they have magnifying glasses? Because you always want to see further, whether if let's say it's not in the sky.
Right.
But what I know they wanted to see their enemy coming.
Exactly. And that's a
Had a
and that's the
nigga.
thing.
Go ahead.
That's the thing. I'm sorry to cut you off. That's the thing. When you make a lens or when you make any type of optics, the same principles apply for when you looking along the horizon, when you looking in the sky, or when you're looking down at something to try to see it bigger, whether it be a piece of paper, a piece of inscription on a paper because your eyes went bad, or you just trying to look at a small organism.
Right.
But go ahead, finish what you were saying.
But yeah, so like you have in every goddamn civilization, you would expect a watcher to be at the top of some palace or some goddamn high area to where he could see the enemy coming, and his ass got some goddamn instrument that's helping him see the enemy coming. But when that's just so when I looked into it, they said the Greeks used a gym during plays to watch the play from like the back of the theater or whatever. And they were saying the
Right.
ancient Egyptians had the earliest technology of this, but it's little known about it. They didn't have no physical evidence, but they was using these gems because the Greeks got this from the Egyptians. That's basically what they were saying. They didn't have no here, this what they was using. It was more so like there was these gems that certain Greeks was using at the back of the theater to watch the play, and they said the ancient Egyptians had that first.
Right. So I know for a fact that obsidian is also used when you make optical lenses, and obsidian has a lot of benefits, especially at night. So you could use you could literally make a obsidian lens, and look at it and actually see stars because that the material within the obsidian kind of dims out excess light. So yeah, I'm familiar with what you just brought up.
But yeah, for sure. So with the, I asked Uncle Said, shout out to the pseudo killers. I asked Uncle Said, well, what about the pyramids? Don't the pyramids line up with the stars or something like that? Can you go? And Uncle Said was like, nah, that's pseudo. They didn't have the technology. Can you go into that? Do the pyramids line up with something in the sky?
Yeah, bring up check out the Job slide that I just brought up. It's funny how like we we wanna give backlash and pushback, but we always do it as if we're not paying attention. Right there, right there. Let's bring that up for said.
All right.
There's no other way you could have done that, and I don't say that. A scholar in multiple disciplines says that. So
Right.
the experts of Assyria say that when they found the Nimrod lens, or the Nimrod lens, I should say, they actually agree that because ancient Egyptian were using optical lens for astronomical reasons, then these lenses had to be also used. Now, obviously, you have your skeptics who want to give pushback about that, but it's a lot of evidence. Even though the physical evidence of a telescope is missing, it's a lot of evidence that, and plus a telescope is not really that elaborate. We acting like a telescope is something that's made out of like, I don't know, Wi-Fi data or something, 3G or something like that. That's not what a telescope is. Anything that they had in the 1600s, definitely the ancient Egyptians could have had. They didn't have a telescope until the 1600s. And then they claim that there is no sure inventor of the telescope. So they already lying right there.
Right. Right. That's a fact. That is a fact, Jack.
I guess, do we need to read that again for said and the pseudo killers right there?
Yeah, you might got to read that again for the people in the
Probably
back.
got to read it again for them. Man.
They might need to hear it one more time. Oh. For the people in the back, this the last time we're gonna address this shit. Are we ready?
All right, hold on. Give me a few minutes. I got it coming.
All
All right. The precision of the great architectural monuments, especially the pyramids, defends the existence of a sound astronomical science. In fact, the number of monuments that are oriented in relation to the four cardinal points within the area always below 1 degree to true north eliminates any notion of chance. A method of astronomical observation was surely used to determine the true north. But which one? We know that the method based on the shortest projected shadows is not precise enough. The idea of optical instruments with lenses gains greater credence with the latest discoveries. That's right in Civilization or Barbarism by Czech Antijoke, page 282. So there's no reason for people to keep asking the same questions over and over again. Now, if people have a certain criteria for evidence where they want to see smoking guns, they want to see the actual telescopes and museums, we all know that's not going to happen since the Europeans lie.
right.
And we know if it comes to something else, you're not going to need to see physical evidence to draw a conclusion.
And you said
Look at those
these.
telescopes right there. Yeah, let it stay right there. So you telling me with everything that our Kemetic ancestors did, they couldn't craft instruments like this? They had the lenses, but they couldn't make tubes to go with the lenses. That doesn't make any sense. In fact, if you think like that, you're pseudo.
Shit. Peace to you, Uncle Hercules.
It's like, why do we, like I said before when I opened up, you know, everybody at one point in time thought Kemet was so fascinating that, wow, it must have been created by aliens. But now all of a sudden that we realize, we understand that Kemet was a black African civilization. Now we got to deal with people that think they didn't even have telescopes. Look at those things. You telling me that our ancient Egyptian ancestors, our Kemetic ancestors, could invent something like that? All that is a tube with a lens on it. Obviously, it got certain mechanisms inside of it, right? But it's nothing elaborate. It's not like it's 5G technology in there. So why are people hating on Kemet?
Right.
Ain't no 5G technology in that. All that is, all a telescope is you taking one or two lenses and you're bouncing them off of each other. In most cases, you can use one lens, but it has to be developed with a bevel to where you can have an image. How do I want to say it? Magnified. That's all it is. It's not elaborate technology. It's not magic. Everybody should accept that, especially if they want the black race to be more in tune with STEM. Can you go to that observatory in Alexandria? It's like a wooden stencil engraving of a Greek person looking at the stars in Egypt. While he's getting that up, all I'm gonna say is anytime you go to Greek astronomy and they do things and they get the credit when they're not in Greece, but in Egypt, where do you think they get that knowledge from? That one right there.
Yeah, it's blurred out for me.
Is it? That's all right. I'm gonna conclude because I don't want to be on here too long. We've been on here like what, an hour or so.
Yeah, I wanna get into these. You got some links you had sent me too. But yeah, this the picture you talking about right here.
Yeah, I actually got some books that you just reminded me. I want those books are important because I don't want people to think that I just came up with this information on my own.
Right.
This information is not new. It's been out for a very long time, but we as a people we ignore it because we don't want to give Kemet too much credit. As if
Right.
acknowledging telescopes and Kemet is just giving Kemet way too much credit.
Right. Come on, man. All right, so let me you got the all right, so you sent the ancient Greek mythology. Now do you want to open up the Egyptian mythology or not?
Nah, I think I sent you some images of some books, very important books.
All right, let me see. You sent it at the same time or not?
I sent them back to back.
At the same time as the mother pictures?
Yeah.
Let me see. Yeah, man, you gonna have them riled up. You gonna have them riled up after this one. Is it called?
Good. But over telescopes, though, just think of that. Why are we riled up over telescopes? We so eager to get a debate online on YouTube that we want to bicker over telescopes.
Right.
Like, there's other things to debate about. I'm not going to debate you about telescopes because it's a waste of time.
I can't find the picture with the books in it. Let me share my screen and show this real quick. So this is the City Institute he was talking about. I think when I was showing it, I was too zoomed in or something like that. But this the City Institute that Uncle Tehuti was talking about. I can't find the books, but can you give us a reference to the books, or you can just name them?
I'm assuming it now. It's called Lost Technologies of Ancient Egypt.
And it's going.
I'm gonna give you a book by a Black scholar, an Afrocentric scholar, and I'm gonna give you a book by an expert, a retired expert in aeronautical science or aerospace science, I should say. You get that? You get that one I sent? I resent them.
All right, let me share my screen.
Boom. All right, so that book that we're looking at right now, Lost Technologies of Ancient Egypt, that was written by Chris Dunn. So Christopher Dunn is a retired aerospace manufacturing engineer. And in working with the industry, he found all this out and he wrote this book. And it talks about the harvesting of electricity and all kinds of things. That's the book. So go to that one.
All right.
It's called The Ankh, African Origin of Electromagnetism.
Okay.
Yeah.
Shout out to the Nagas, man. Shout out to my electromagnetic niggas.
Right.
You fuck with the Nagas?
So there's scholarship on the matter. It's not like, you know, when you find pseudos, when you come across pseudos, you know they're pseudo because they don't really have books. And if they do have books, you can verify that they're written by racists and topic matters that's been documented as a problem since the 1970s.
Right.
A lot of times pseudos will come out with things that's been documented in the 1970s and publish books in the 2010s and try to change everything up that the master teachers did. But all this, so what I say that to say this is the first book that I gave you was by a European who was in the industry of aerospace science. And he's whistleblowing about all these technologies that the ancient Egyptians had. Right? In correspondence with an Afrocentric scholar saying the same thing about electromagnetism.
Hey man, so yeah, y'all tap in, do your research on both of these books. what Uncle Tehuti is bringing forth, very powerful, very important. If the Greeks did it, why you saying your people ain't did it? You know what I'm saying? We got to stop all this detracting and doubting ourselves. You know what I'm saying?
And not only that, if you so enthusiastic about science and STEM, how could the ancient Egyptians not have a tube instrument with a lens on it just so they could focus in on certain points? That's all that is a telescope is a tube with a lens on it. Obviously, you got your advanced telescopes, your electromagnetic ones, right? And that's the thing. Even if you want to take it a step further, we got enough evidence to say that the telescopes they were using could have been very well electromagnetic. Check Antijoke wouldn't argue with that. And it's not dangerous for me to say that. That's not a dangerous claim that's going to hold back the Afrocentric revolution. Telescopes and Kemet ain't going to hold back the black race. But you telling them it wasn't, they didn't have it when the Greeks say they did, does. So that's something that we need to think about before we jump on and we want to ask a whole bunch of loaded questions that we think are rhetorical. That's not really rhetorical. They're just disingenuous. We want to challenge for debates and all stuff like that. But I'm gonna wrap that up. It's a lot. It's a lot that could be said about this. But you know what I'm saying. I've been on here already an hour.
Overstood. Man, I think I could ask you the questions that I had lined up for you.
Of course, absolutely. I'll try to answer them the best as I can because I know y'all be coming up with questions that y'all realize are kind of unanswerable. Some people do, some people don't. But you go ahead, man.
All right. Let me see. Let me get to my first question. Give me 1 second. All right. So my first question is, when did the Egyptians start looking non-black?
When did the ancient Egyptians start looking non-black? So the elites, so the royal families in Kemet didn't turn colors, didn't even turn mixed until the Ptolemaic regime or the Ptolemy regime. That is a weird word, but long story short, you had a mulatto Ptolemy regime in Kemet, and then because it took Greeks so long to get into Kemet, the whole racial landscape of Kemet didn't even change until going into the first centuries, because you still had a native population. And if you study your history, you learn that the native population actually had an uprising against Cleopatra and the Ptolemies and the Ptolemy regime.
Okay. So when you got scholars in the you got scholars saying that the Egyptians was black as the Ethiopians, but I think they're from like the 1600s, 1700s. How do we take that?
The scholars are from the 1600s or the
1600s, 1700s.
So when we studying the writings of our enslavers and invaders and stuff like that, especially in the time of 1600s, we got to consider that's the time that we're illiterate. So when they were publishing their knowledge and what they discovered, it wasn't intended for us. It was for the white population and the people who were looking for certain tasks to be carried out. So they had to, so people who were sent out on behalf of, you know, whether it be the British, the French, they had to document real things. So what was the question? The question was, the Kemet
So when
U
they
looks kind of
when
like
they
the
was
Ethiopians.
yeah, when they were saying in the 1600s and 1700s that the Egyptians was as black as the Ethiopians and stuff like that, how do we take that?
Well, I mean, we take it like we take the ancient Egyptians had telescopes. So the fact of the matter is that Ethiopia is a Nile Valley civilization, and then you have different ethnic groups within Ethiopia that have their varieties. So it wouldn't be abnormal to say that the Kemet U looked identical to certain Ethiopian archetypes.
All right. So question number 2. Did they describe themselves as black or dark, the ancient Egyptians?
So they definitely describe themselves as black, just like the color. And the first indication of that is the place name Kemet. Like, I mean, you know, if you wasn't really studying and you saw that the place name for ancient Egypt was Kemet, and then, you know, you came across, because it doesn't take a lot of research to find this out either, and you came across the meaning of Kemet is black, you can't really argue and say that they weren't using a color to represent themselves. And then throughout even that, you know, the pyramid texts talk a lot about the Apis bull. So um, a big thing during that time was to revere the Apis bull. And there's a saying that you're black like a sar, you're black like the Apis bull. So that was referring to color. And then on top of that, you know, during certain dynasties, people would actually name themselves black. So it would be, examples would be Pepe the Black, Teddy the Black. A lot of people think Teddy, a lot of people want to assign an Asiatic origin for Teddy. But why, if that's the case, why is he naming his son Teddy the Black? The pyramid text itself is a document that tells us, like, you know, directly that the Kemet U was referring to themselves as black, just like the color. You also have Kimseet. Kimseet was the black lady, the wife of Mentuhotep II during the 11th dynasty. So you have Kimset, you have Pepe the Black, you have Teddy Unk Kim, which means Teddy the Black or Teddy the Black lives. So it's too much information and too many, you know, actually smoking guns. That would actually be a smoking gun to let you know that the ancient Egyptians, in fact, referred to themselves as black. They went out of their way to let us know that many times. They implemented that into their own names. So,
All right. Next question. Were the ancient Egyptians territorial? For instance, let me find this picture. All right, here I go. Were the ancient Egyptians territorial? What did they feel about the people coming in?
Okay, so that's a good question because a lot of people want to credit all these other races for about 5 invasions, right? But the fact of the matter was, yes, the ancient Egyptians or the Kemet was very territorial, and a lot of the decline of the Kemetic Empire commenced because they became less territorial. So a perfect example is what the Europeans named the Libyan dynasty, right? So the Libyan dynasty came in and they established kingdoms in certain parts of Kemet, and then they rose to power. But the problem was they wanted to be friendly to Assyrians, to Greeks, and finally, the 25th dynasty took note of that, and they came up and reestablished power, spirituality. That's the whole reason for the 25th dynasty, is because the 23rd and 22nd dynasties were, how do I want to say it? They were delineating to where they wanted to break Kemet down into fractions and be super diplomatic to the Greeks and the Assyrians.
All right, all right. Y'all like, share, and subscribe, man. Like, share, and subscribe. Hit that like button, man. We got Uncle Tehuti in the building. You know what I'm saying? We definitely gonna have to bring Uncle Tehuti back. But I know from this live right here, they're gonna be making reaction videos and they're gonna be on your head. Next question. The Bantu. It's an oral tradition. The Bantu said that they came from what is it? The foots of I can't think of it right now, but Bantu got oral traditions that they come from Egypt. Have you ever heard anything about that? Is there any validity to Bantu expansion, them coming from there?
So I'm not directly specific with the oral traditions, but again, there's a lot of things that we can kind of verify if we know the broad history of things. So the Bantu expansion didn't happen after Kemet fell. So even with that, why wouldn't the Bantu have a history with Kemet? Because remember when the Greeks and the Romans were driving everybody out, everybody was going back into inner Africa, Central West Africa, and they were establishing kingdoms. So specifically with the Bantu in East Africa, you have the seaport, the Swahili states. A lot of people don't like Swahili because over time Swahili gave into the Arabs, and they started giving into the Arabs, and they started going along with the slave trade and doing what the Arabs did. So a lot of people have this animosity towards Swahili. They don't even want to use Swahili as a language because of that. But the fact of the matter is, a lot of the refugees who are trying to escape Greco-Roman persecution, some of the territory that they went in was, in fact, the Swahili states, East Africa, back into southern Somalia and stuff like that, Tanzania, and they developed those Swahili states, and they were actually a sea power for quite some time. The Swahili states were actual trade sea power while all that stuff was going up in Rome, and that's why the Romans actually used the Arabs to clean up their dirty work.
Mm.
Even today, Europe is using proxy soldiers and, you know, the threat of Islamic terrorism to destabilize certain nations. And that's just going back in history to the same way that the Romans used the Arabs to indirectly push and spread Christianity.
Right.
Because what's crazy about the Crusades is, you know, everybody has it in their minds that the Arabs won, but if you look at the broad picture, Christianity actually won because Christianity was able to spread to the western part of the world.
Right. That's a fact. That's a fact. All right. One of my last questions. Brother. And this is gonna be a layup. Should be a no-brainer. But we got people out there that don't believe that the ancient Egyptians did no type of science. So for the record, did the ancient Egyptians do surgery, successful surgeries, brain surgeries, anything successful?
Yeah, definitely. So there's a medical papyri that everybody can retrieve on the internet on the World Wide Web. There's actually a stone relief of medical instruments in a temple on temple walls. I can't think of the name right now. It's on the tip of my tongue. Somebody can help me out. It starts with a K, I think. But there's a relief. Actually, let me look it up and send it to you. I just want to send it to you so everybody can see it, because
and they got the tools that they was using in the goddamn UK museum.
And that's another reason. That's another thing. Like, I guarantee you, if we look up when these tools came about, I could probably bet $500 right now that these tools came about. These medical surgical tools came about sometime in the 1800s after French raided the tombs and temples in Egypt. I guarantee you that.
Do you think the Coptics helped the Greeks and Romans and Arabs learn the traditions and language and help decipher the metanoia for the invaders?
Yes, that's correct. So if you do just any little research on Coptics, you'll find that Coptics are just a mix of Greeks and the native ancient Egyptians. And then over time, they became more Greek-like and more Arab-like. But being that they were a mix between the natives, yes, they had knowledge of the metal netur, and they in fact helped decipher the metal netur.
And even just basic spirituality teachings and basic uh, scientific understandings. You think they helped them get that away too?
Yeah, definitely. But one thing though is we got to remember the Greeks went in. The Greeks learned about certain things. So even though they couldn't decipher meta nature when they learned to read and learn to read and write, and all the scientists or all the sciences under the 26th dynasty, they still didn't have everything that was required to do certain things, but they had knowledge of it. So they had to speak a dialect that was similar to meta nature when they first started learning how to speak. And through that, they developed their own writing, their own script, but it was very similar to ancient Egyptian script and ancient Egyptian vernacular, because they were barbarians who only knew how to grunt and moan and stuff like that.
All right, so when we look at people like to say, oh no, Sumer is older than Egypt. Can you go in a little bit about how older ancient Egypt is compared to Sumer?
Yeah. So one thing I want to say, right, is humanity starts by a body of water. So if we know humanity started by one body of water, and they lived for quite some time before the invention of boats, before the invention of, vehicles with wheels on them, the first place they're going to settle is by the body of water that they're already by. The next place that they're going to settle is along the Nile. So there's a very strict process to building a civilization. So the first thing is you settle in an area if it's meant for you to settle in that area. And then you can develop, certain, tribe hoods and chiefdoms, right? And then you have the time through your agriculture. You have the time to plant things. You have the time to build the army and stuff like that, right? So that process has to come first. And from a logical standpoint and a practical standpoint, you're not going to skip over the Nile Valley and the Nile River system to go all the way over to the Euphrates River system and start a civilization before you set up one that was closer to your place of origin. So right off the bat, that don't even make common sense. Another thing that you can do is you can go straight to the museums, or you can just use chronology. Right? If the oldest settlement in Sumer is 5,000 years old or even 6,000 years old, why are we disregarding the Great Sphinx? That's 12,000 years old. Why are we disregarding Nabta Playa? That's 8,000 years old. So the point is, Sumer was a settlement in 5,000 BC or whatever time frame they want to put on it, but it didn't become a kingdom or a city state until the 3rd millennium BC. So how is it that Sumer, who wasn't even an empire, it was just a city state, is older than Kemet, who developed from the time that humanity existed all the way up into the first dynasties on until then? Because remember, other races, a lot of people, we got to stick to chronology. We forget that a lot of things didn't exist outside of Africa or Kemet when they were building the pyramids.
Right.
So during the pyramid age, these other races were barbarians. They didn't know how to read or write. So they're not gonna be able to set up any kingdoms. They could set up some chiefdoms, but them chiefdoms gonna be lacking in a lot of areas, and you're gonna have a lot of chaos in your so-called civilization. And a lot of people forget that these people are very late to the scientific knowledge of civilization. So there's no way you can have Asiatic kingdoms in North Africa. How can you have Asiatic kingdoms in North Africa if Asiatics didn't learn anything until the 26th dynasty? How can you have Greeks in you know what I'm saying? How can Greeks invade Kemet when the 26th dynasty used the Greeks as mercenaries in their army? You see what I'm saying? And that's another thing we got to be careful with, because when these people say that, Kemet was invaded 5-6 times a week. Nah, the problem was that we came down on our territorial principles, like you brought up before, and we allowed these people in, whether we said we felt sorry for them because they were, nomadic and didn't have food, i.e. the Hyksos, or even the Greeks. The Greeks only came in because the 26th dynasty allowed Greek mercenaries to fight the Persians. And they actually failed against the Persians, and that's how the Persians came in.
That's powerful, brother. That's powerful. Hey, man, y'all like, share, and subscribe to the show, man. Uncle Tehuti is up in the building. He definitely will be back. I definitely got to get you to have a sit down with Uncle Hercules and Uncle Asar and Uncle Reggie, you know what I'm saying, and just have a big Black Egypt you know what I'm saying, boasting session. You know what I'm saying? It's like a lot of times we gotta remind people, that is us. That is us. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, what it is we dealing with people who don't want to leave the conveniences that they already comfortable with. So a lot of people will gatekeep certain things. They know certain things are powerful, so they'll say, "Nah, that wasn't it." Just throw you off.
Right. Right. That's a fact. That's a fact. All right, Uncle Tehuti, man, I appreciate you. We definitely gonna do this again real soon. You got any last words for the people? How can they find you? Give them your channel, all that.
Yeah. I think I'll drop my channel and my link in the chat on Facebook and YouTube. My YouTube is kind of slow; it's under construction, but I'm always on Facebook if you want to contact me.
Already. Y'all give it up for Uncle Tehuti. And like that, you know what I'm saying? Replay the video, rerun the video, see the information that he dropped. And if you if you agree with him, if you learned something today, comment on the video. If you disagree with him, we want to hear what you got to say too. You know what I'm saying? Uncle Tehuti, I appreciate you, brother. We'll be back. I'm gonna see you real soon.
Definitely. Thanks for having me on, man. Hotel.
Hotel. And just like that, gang, we out of here. Let's get it.
For the weekend, tryna see more than a view. I pull up in Mad Benz. Say I got it from my dude. I took 2